Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to Nat's Beautiful Life and day one of the 12 days of Christmas. Be sure that you are subscribed so you never miss a video, especially this month. We have videos on books, of course. We have art, mixed media type things, as well as movie content. If you'd like me to do any beauty content, such as makeup tutorials or anything like that, please let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to do that for you. If you're new to this channel, hello, my name is Natasha and I do videos on all the things that I just mentioned, plus anything else I want to do a video on, because why not? Today I'm going to share with you my November wrap up, which is all the books that I read in November. I read more than I thought I did, to be honest with you, but I didn't read as much as I probably could have because of all the movies I've been watching. I am one of those people who'd rather read a book than watch TV. It's just the way I am. Doesn't mean anything, but this time of year when it gets colder, I typically tend to kind of want to watch a few more movies or television shows or whatever than normal. And I also like to read fantasy. I find a lot of times when it gets cold, for some reason, I've noticed that my January, Februarys are usually pretty fantasy and sci-fi heavy. So I guess it got a little cold earlier for us because I live in North Carolina and it can be 70 degrees one day and 40 degrees the next day. You never know what the weather's going to be like. Oh, but it's always cold in the morning and it's always cold in the evening. You just don't know what midday is going to be like. But it got a little colder, a little bit quicker this year. And so I guess I'm getting in that January mode because it normally doesn't really get cold here till about maybe mid-December, maybe January, but whatever. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get into the books. So the first book that I have for you is The Beauty in Breaking by Dr. Michelle Harper. I've mentioned this several times on the channel already. This is the book club book of the month for November, and I have information about the book club down below. And yeah, so she is an ER physician in Philadelphia, and these are stories about not only her life and like a mini memoir, but also some of the people and stories she's encountered in her work. And it's moving at times and infuriating at times, but it's a good read. I highly recommend it, and I want to see more from her throughout the years. So be sure you pick that one up. The next book, so incredibly good. So happy about this one. The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I do have a book review on the channel already. I'll link it in the cards and down below, so you can check that out. But very quickly, it is the Alexandrian Society. So the Alexandrian Library did not burn down like we all were told. It was just moved. And this society protects everything in it. Every 5 years, 6 candidates are chosen, but only 5 will make it into the society. And there's a lot more to it than that. This is incredibly good. It's unique and the execution was well done. I cannot recommend this enough. If you have not picked this up already and you love fantasy, go ahead and do yourself a favor and do that. Alright, the next book is a quick little mystery thriller thing that I like to do ever so often. This one I saw on my book of the month, and I ordered, with my book of the month, I got this was one of the choices as well as another, so it was like one of those months where I actually picked 2 of the 5 books. So this is The Collective by Allison Galen. As you can see, we have our main character who lost a daughter. She was murdered and she wants revenge, and through some things she kind of hooks up or gets connected with this group called The Collective, and they are also mothers who have children that have died who want to get revenge. And there is a little bit more to it than meets the eye. She finds out that, yeah, things ensue. There are twists and turns. There are, yeah, there's a big twist towards the end. I did enjoy this book. I think I gave it 3 stars. there were a few things that just kind of like didn't work for me towards the end, not necessarily in plot, but in people. But I do recommend this book. It is a good read, and if you like this sort of thing, then I recommend picking it up. Alright, so the next book I was a little concerned about because, first of all, I pre-ordered this book. I love this author's previous series. I was so pumped. But then someone, just one person, told me that they DNF'd it and their sister also read it and didn't like it. I didn't hear, that's my dog flipping his ears again. I don't think I heard about anyone else talking about this book at all. But just because that one person said something, I was just a little scared, so I put it off. But I read it, and I loved it. And I think the problem is, I know that this person reads a lot of YA fantasy, and this reads, and this is categorized as YA, but I think it reads more adult high fantasy. So I think that a lot of confusion could have been avoided if they just marketed it as an adult book. I'm just putting that out there. But that is Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, there's a couple of qualms that I have. One is the copy editor, whoever was supposed to make sure the T's were crossed, the I's were dotted, you know, the words were not repeated, everything's in the correct tense, you know, the punctuation's correct. It's like they didn't show up for work that day. I don't know what happened, but the English major in me was screaming. But I got over it. The other qualm I had was towards the beginning of the book, you know, towards the end, she did better at this. But towards the beginning of the book, she would say like something, because this is fantasy, and you're like, and he put on his, you know, fill in the blank. We don't know what that is. So I feel like she, instead of like having to figure it out, which you could eventually, but if she would have just explained it, like not explained it, but maybe described it, like it was this color. Because there's a lot of different colors and things that she mentions as far as what people are wearing because of what like kingdom they're from. And if she would have just done something like that the first time, then she would have never had to do it again because we'd have known what it was. But I really enjoyed this book, and it got better as it went because I guess she was like, you know, getting the cobwebs off. But yeah, so you've got these things called spindles, and they are gates to other realms. You do not know which realm goes to what spindle, but they've all been closed for years. And so this one guy, who was the bad guy, starts opening them. And the other thing is, I wish we would have known what a spindle was, like what it looked like and all of that at the beginning. But we don't really see one till the end where we all go with the main character T1. But you have to have a certain blood type, you have to have a certain blade, and then you have to have a certain like magical person with you. So a spindle blade, a spindle blood, and a spindle touch. And those are the people who can open, or that's the formula rather, that can open a spindle and close a spindle. So to find all of these things and to find the spindles, we wind up with an immortal. So this is an elder. There are several different kingdoms of elders. They, you know, are hundreds, even thousands of years old, but they kind of keep to themselves. But at this point, they're like, this is kind of a big deal. We need to get involved and start closing the spindle that, you know, this guy opened up. Anywho, so we wind up with a ragtag group of characters, which is one of our favorites, right? So we have the squire, we have an immortal, we have an assassin. We wound up with two, actually. We have a pirate's daughter, and then we have like a sorceress that we don't even know what she can do until the end because she's so kooky. But what I loved about this is not only is the plot good and the story good, you like the characters and you hate the characters. Like the characters that are bad, you know they're bad and you don't like them. You have one who's starts out a little morally gray, and then you find her digging herself deeper and deeper into the bed, and you're just like, what's happening? And then, you know, we have our cast of characters that we love, and, you know, their group, I mean, they never really knew each other, and then they've come together, and their banter with some of them and their relationships and how they're seeing each other is just wonderful. I cannot recommend this enough. I think I give it 4 stars because of all the other situations that I mentioned, but I cannot wait for the next book. I think it's coming out sometime like summerish 2022, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this because this was a good time. The last book for November was so good, and I was so excited about it. Now I have to wait a year for the second one because I need it. And that is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This takes place in the Caraval world. I don't really think you have to read Caraval to read this, but it would make more, some of the things that they mentioned would make more sense if you'd read Caraval. And I know a lot of people didn't like Caraval. I was not a super fan of Caraval, however, the next 2 books, which were Legendary and Finale, were phenomenal. And Legendary was the book that I thought Carnival was gonna be, and then Finale was just wow. So the reason why I say that is because we meet in Caraval this Jack of Hearts guy. So we meet the Immortals, we meet these people, a fate is what they're called, yeah, a fate, and we find out that, you know, they're not really the best people to make deals with and things like that. So we've got our main character who, I think is it Fiona? Evangeline, where did I get Fiona from? Evangeline, and her true love or whatever is gonna marry another person. And she wants to stop the wedding, so she makes a deal with a fate. And then chaos ensues, and there's so much more to it than meets the eye. She starts out thinking she's just making a small little deal, and she's just got to do these small little things that may be bad, but she has no idea how big what he has in mind, what he has in store is. So, yeah. So let's hope that she doesn't break the world. I really enjoyed it. With the things with the Caraval, you have these morally gray characters that are like the Fates or Immortals or magical people, and you like them and you don't trust them, but then you see like there's like a human side to them, and I just don't know how to describe it other than you have to read it and you'll have to see for yourself. Because you start rooting for them, and then you're like, oh no, he didn't. And then you're like, is it a misunderstanding? Well, we don't know until the next book, but really enjoyed this one. Yeah. So also, I have been plugging away still at The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. It is a I believe Victorian gothic, I almost said graphic, gothic horror story. And I really enjoy this, reading this before bed for some reason, because it's right now we're in a portion of the book where you're reading basically journal entries. That's how this part of the book is told. And it's just a good time. I really enjoy it, and I really like plugging away. I'm about halfway through, a little bit, maybe a little bit more than halfway through, but it's a beast of a book. It's like 670 something pages and tiny print, again, classic, and it's wordy because it's Victorian, but it's not as bad as some of the other things that I have read. So yeah, but I'm not done with it. I'm not done with it. Well, that's all I got for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching and for being here with me on this day 1 of the 12 days of Christmas. I hope to see you again very soon, probably on Monday with a brand new video. So again, be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. Give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon right here on Nat's Beautiful Life. Have a great day, gorgeous.